Hello all, welcome to Quick Questions installment number 13. And this quick question is something I asked on Twitter some months ago, and I got a large response of, varied responses for it. But the question was, should Christians charge people for their books, for their tapes, for their CDs, for their DVDs, for their workshops, conferences, to come speak, Bible studies? That's the question. Should we charge people in the gospel for things? And one thing I thought about maybe for like books and stuff you can charge, because the truth is that books are not free to make. This book right here, made by my past pastor, Bishop G. Patterson. It's not free to design a book cover and to get it, written in such a way and, get the ink and get the cover and get the publisher and get the editor and, then to advertise the book and then to put it in stores and, it's not free. So I said, okay, for things that are made that cost money to make, they should at least break even. The amount of money it costs to make the book. They should at least, the book should at least not cost them anything. But some people say, some people I know, they'll argue, they'll say, if he was a real Christian, why is he selling this? Why is he trying to charge people for this? The gospel's not free. The gospel's not free. And to that I say, well, technically it's not the gospel. This book right here is not telling you, how to get saved. This is telling you something else about the spirit world. If I'm telling you, for example, if I was a prosperity teacher, which I'm totally not, and anyone who knows me know I'm like totally not a big advocate of the prosperity gospel. But if I was a prosperity, a prosperity preacher, it's not gospel if I'm trying to tell you how to make money off of the kingdom. So technically you can't say he's making money off of the gospel because he's not using gospel. He's teaching prosperity, which is not the gospel. So people like that, they sell their books. So can you charge them and say, you're wrong, y'all are selling these books for profit and this is supposed to be free? The passage I want to talk about, I read it in a past quick question, but it is from 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. Let's start at verse 7. Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charge? Who planteth a vineyard and eateth not of the fruit thereof? Or who feedeth a flock and eateth not of the milk of the flock? So it's like saying, why would I do all this work and don't get nothing from it? Why would I make a whole book? Let me see how many pages this book is. This book is 248 pages. And, I'm trying to write a book myself, and it's not easy. It's not that easy to come up with 248 pages and to organize them in different chapters and to organize them in different concepts and thoughts and organizing, which chapter goes first and all that stuff. It's not easy to do that. So it's kind of crazy to say that somebody's going to sit there and make a whole book and, and not make a dime off of it. So I won't say they shouldn't make anything. I'm not going to say they should. I'm just going to say I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But verse 10 says, further on in that verse it says that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and that he that thresheth in hope should be partaker of his hope. So if I'm sowing in this book night and day, it may take you months to write a book, a whole year or 2 or 3 years, or more years to write a book, shouldn't I partake of that hope? And then verse 11 says, if we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal blessings? Is it a big deal? If I've sown you something that changed your life forever, is it a big deal if I get $1? Like if I've sown something, because think about spiritual things. When you sow a spiritual thing into someone's life, it changes your life forever. I know people, who said a word to somebody spiritually, and it changed their life forever. They've never been the same. She's saying, like, if I've sown into you spiritual things, they gave you such a great benefit. He said, is it a great thing? Is it like such a big deal? How we would say nowadays, is it such a big deal that I should reap your carnal things? Verse 14, even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. Now, of course, teaching about how to get rich is not the gospel. The gospel is how to get saved through Jesus, how to get to heaven. But, still, if you call yourself a Christian, if you're a preacher, when you write a book, people are going to automatically assume, you know, it's kingdom work. So the other question I asked was about, you know, the conferences. This may have to be a two-part now that I think about it. When I think about the conferences, you know, certain pastors that have conferences that, you know, it was a conference I wanted to go to a few months ago, and I could not go because I did not have the money. I didn't have $150 at my disposal. So in a way, if you think about it, it's kind of like it's saying only rich people can get the super extra blessings. Like if you're not, you know, super rich, you cannot attend this concert. You cannot attend this conference. You cannot attend this workshop. There's a church. I won't say the church. I won't say where it is, and I won't say the pastor. But some of you all may know of it. It's a church where they have 2 different Bible studies. And one Bible study is where the regular members go. You know, it's free. Just like maybe at your church. It's a free Bible study. Everyone goes. You don't have to pay a dime. And then he has what he calls an advanced Bible study, where you have to pay, I'm not sure how much, is either it's 100 or 1,000. It's one of those, I know it has, it's 100, maybe an extra 0, $100 or $1,000. I don't know how often you have to pay it. But if you want the advanced teaching, if you want to get deep into the scriptures, you know, if you want the real good stuff, you have to pay money. And I thought that was insane. And I'm just like, you know, can you really charge me for something that's not tangible? Like I remember I was saying, I said, now with a book, it costs money to make this because paper is not free, ink is not free, a cover is not free, laminating the cover is not free, using colored ink is not, you know, this color is not free, having this raised pattern is not free, you know, and then making, let's just say you made 1 million of these books. It's not going to be free to make 1 million books. So I understand when tangible products cost money. You know, I don't have a CD around me. You know, if you have a CD or DVD, it's not free to make a CD or DVD. They're not free. They cost money. You don't, I mean, if you buy a bunch of DVDs at the store, you know, just a blank DVDs, they're not free. So I can't expect someone to just lose money. You know, maybe you should, but I'm not going to expect you to lose money to win a soul or to encourage or build a soul without getting anything in return for something tangible. But if it is something that is that's just spoken, like at a workshop, for example, or a conference, or a music gospel concert, you know, I wonder, I'm saying, is that okay for them to sell services? Is it okay for you to put a price tag on your service? Because if you do that, if you think about it, if you really just think about it, what you're doing is saying that only rich people, only well-off people can benefit from these programs or these services. And I'm sure we don't want people to get that impression that only rich people, only wealthy people, only prosperous people who have money to spend can benefit from this workshop, this conference, this concert. Like I said, it's some things it's a conference I wanted to go to, and I could not attend. And I said, I really want to go, but I don't have that much money. So pretty much the poor people are going to be at the church with the 2 Bible studies. The poor people are going to have less knowledge than the rich people, because the poor people can't afford to spend the $100 or $1,000 for the I guess the accelerated Bible study classes. And something I like to think about when it comes to that topic is when I'm asking people questions, like theoretical questions like I do on Quick Questions, I don't like to just say, is it right or wrong? Is it good or bad? I like to say, you often hear me say, is it biblical? Is it scriptural? That's why I always read a Bible verse or something, you know, Bible passages, to see how it lines up with the scriptures, to see if it lines up with how they did it in the Old Testament or in the New Testament. Usually I'm talking about the New Testament. You usually see me reading New Testament. So, you know, this is not asked, is it good or bad? Is it right or wrong for them to sell books and CDs and DVDs? Let's not say, let's not ask, is it wrong for people to sell tickets for, you know, non-tangible products like services, like, you know, conferences, concerts, whatever, workshops. Let's ask, is it biblical? Let's ask, is it scriptural? And, you know, it's hard to ask that because we know back then they didn't mass produce, you know, books, you know, they didn't mass produce DVDs and see, they didn't have that kind of stuff back then. They didn't have CDs and DVDs back then. So we can't exactly get an example of that. But look for part 2, and I will finish up this series.